Welcome to another ADD's Action Figure Obsession video, and here we have the 2018 Hasbro Marvel Legends GameStop exclusive PS4 Advanced Suit Spider-Man. I think I got that all right. I don't play video games. I haven't since I had an Atari 2600 back during the latter days of the Carter administration or the early days of the Reagan administration. I'm not sure when that Atari showed up at Christmas, but game controllers are too complicated for my hands these days. I've tried, but it just ain't happening. And plus, I really don't enjoy games anyway. Big fan of puns, but games, video games, any kind of games. Ask me about the time that I tried to play Monopoly most recently. What a nightmare. Anyway, this Spider-Man was in very hot demand when it came out in 2018. The suit is very popular. I really like it. It has a dark French blue, which viewers of this channel will know. I'm a real fan of French blue, especially on Spider-Man and Captain America. And I really dig the redesign of the costume, despite being a huge fundamentalist Steve Ditko fanatic. Not objectivist, though, just fundamentalist in terms that, Ditko pretty much solidified for me the fundamentals of what Spider-Man's costume should look like. My top three Spider-Man artists in terms of the design and the body language are probably Steve Ditko, Gil Kane, and John Romita Sr. in that order. There's plenty of other Spider-Man artists whose work I really enjoy looking at. Even Todd McFarlane. I'm not a huge fan of Todd McFarlane as a toy company entrepreneur, but I do enjoy the look of his Spider-Man, not so much as Peter Parker or Mary Jane, because he really has a hard time drawing human beings that aren't in a costume, but he draws a hell of a Spawn, he draws a hell of a Spider-Man. Ross Andru was actually drawing Amazing Spider-Man when I first started reading it in the early to mid 70s. And Ross Andru's Spider-Man is kind of my mind's eye of Spider-Man, and haven't been too many action figures that have legitimately paid tribute to Ross Andru. I think the 2020 retro Spider-Man was pretty close to looking like Andrew's artwork, although the eyes are, the two heads that it came with. One came with John Romita Sr. eyes, and one came with Steve Ditko eyes. But I will tell you, if you like Ross Andru's artwork, and chances are you have no idea who he even was, but his Green Goblin was paid tribute to in the Marvel Legends VHS 2-pack with the Green Goblin and, who was the other? I think Spider-Man was the other character in that 2-pack. Animated Spider-Man and Green Goblin. Does that sound right? The VHS release. That Green Goblin head sculpt in that 2-pack looks all the world for Ross Andru's Green Goblin. And one of my favorite storylines involving the Green Goblin during the Ross Andru Amazing Spider-Man era was, I think it was a 5 or 6 issue saga where the Green Goblin had returned, even though Norman Osborn at the time was presumed dead, and Harry Osborn had been cured or was relatively stable, and it probably wasn't him. But I'm going to spoil it for you. Spoiler warning. Skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want this storyline from 45 years ago, 50 years ago, spoiled. But anyway, it was a really good 5 or 6 issue storyline in Amazing Spider-Man, around issue like 176 to 181, somewhere in there, I think, where Spider-Man just couldn't figure out who this new Green Goblin was and where he came from. And it turned out that he knew everything the Green Goblin knew because he, in fact, was Dr. Bart Hamilton, who was Harry Osborn's psychiatrist at the time. So that was how he found out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, and that was how he was making his life a living hell for, half a year's worth of issues. But if you want to see that Ross Andru-style Green Goblin head sculpt, just look up, search for, or go buy, if you could find it somewhere for a good price, that VHS Spider-Man 2-pack of Marvel Legends that came with the animated Green Goblin. But anyway, back to this guy after, a 4 minute diversion. And by the way, if you don't enjoy my conversational, detours, after 21, 22 videos, I don't know why you're still here, but thanks for hanging in there. Oh, leave a like on the video if you can, comment, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends if you know other people who you think would be interested in a little bit of a mix of comic book history and personal action figure reminiscences and nostalgia. I think that's pretty much what this is turning out to be, right? Plus some kit bashing and customization tips. Let me know what you want to see in the comments too. If there's anything that I've done or talked about or sort of hinted at that you have some curiosity about, let me know if you have an idea for a video that you'd like to see me tackle, and I'd be happy to give it a try. So anyway, let me get this guy a little bit more in frame here. I didn't, hold on one second. Okay, that's a little better. I have a very precarious and low budget setup for my camera here, so sometimes it gets away from me, but I try to keep an eye on it and see what's going on as we're talking. This 2018 release, the PS4 Gamerverse Spider-Man, I think has recently been replaced, right, or updated to the PS5 version, which I have not ever seen in a store, or I'm not sure if it was an exclusive. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with this one. I had it. I picked it up in 2018. There was two at my closest GameStop one day in 2018. I feel like it was the summer of 2018. I think it was a hot day. They had two. And I probably would have bought both of them, except the paint on the chest was really messed up on one of them. And actually the other one had something of a flaw too, but it was a little more forgivable. And I was a little mad that neither one of them was perfect, and I left, and then I came back, and there was only one left, and it was the one that was the better of the two. Apparently whoever grabbed it didn't notice the paint smear on the chest. So I bought that one, and then during one of my purges 2 or 3 years ago, decided to unload that guy. So I haven't had this figure in my collection for a while, but I was at a local toy show a couple of weekends back, and they had him for a really good price, and I expressed interest in him, and then they offered me a $10 discount off of that because the show was almost over, and I don't think it had been particularly well attended. So I made out really well on that. What was the other one that applies to? This guy, which I haven't opened yet. Also got a really good deal on him, and $10 off. It was from the same seller, so I made out pretty well at that show. And look, that Deadpool, the Juggernaut Wave Deadpool, like this Spider-Man, is a figure that I had years ago and had sold off. So I wanted them back in my collection. So here we are. So this GameStop exclusive Gamerverse Spider-Man really does not come with much in the way of accessories. His suit design is basically the only thing that's really good about him. He does come with alternate hands, so he has 2 thwip hands and 2 fists, no wall crawling hands, and it's inexcusable for any Spider-Man not to come with 2 fists, 2 wall crawling hands, and I personally don't care about the thwip hands at all. I hate any effect or accessory that comes with an action figure that only represents a second of time or an instant in time. That's statue territory to me. I mean, as you can see, you've been looking at this guy now for 8 minutes, 9 minutes. He's just been a statue standing there, and it looks cool with that webbing, but I would rather have wall crawling hands than thwip hands if it has to be one or the other, and you have to have fists. So here are the other 2 accessories that he comes with, which is a pair of these really floppy, crappy, useless webs. It has these little hooks on the end here, that he could use if he had grip hands, but he doesn't have any gripping hands, and it has this little sort of spiral at the end. I don't really know what that's for. You can kind of unwind it into a straight line, but it just is going to go right back into that shape. Now, what he has on him is actually custom wire webbing that I got on the internet, and it looks pretty cool. It's made of metal wire. I don't know what gauge it is, but it's just a white wire that the the artist basically took some time to turn into something that looks very much like McFarlane style or Eric Larson style spaghetti webbing. And I have 3 pairs of these all together. It was a set. So there's that pair, and that's the good webbing. And there's this pair, or not pair. They're not pairs. They're just single strands of webbing. Well, actually, it's a pair of wires that are intertwined to give you that spaghetti webbing effect, if you see what I mean. And the really cool thing about all 3 of these, including the one that's on him, is that on one end, right here, it has this little loop that goes around the wrist of the action figure. So you take the hand off and you put that around the wrist. Now you can see here, if you look carefully, and if I can focus, that not only do you have the white of the costume, but you have the white wire that is in between, technically, the hand and the forearm. Can you see that? I'm trying really hard, but this camera is fighting me every step of the way. All right. So you can swap out. You take that off. And you can put I'm going to put the fist on. I prefer the fists on them. There's nothing worse to me than the Spider-Man action figure standing there with his flip hands. It's ridiculous. I have a lot of opinions. I don't know if you've noticed this. Ask me about Forge sometime. So let's get him a little more stable there. So he comes again with the pair of whip hands that we see at his feet now, and he comes with the we're not even in focus now. Let's try that again. Yeah, focus. I don't know why it's not focusing. Focus. I apologize for that. Okay, so he comes with the pair of whip hands. He comes with the really floppy, I don't know what you're really supposed to do with these. Hasbro has a tendency to include these sort of weird accessories that are sort of like a nod at the idea that they're doing something for the collector, but they really do nothing for you. I've never understood it. It's a love-hate thing with Hasbro always. But if you can go online on probably eBay or Etsy, or I'm sure there's a million of them on Instagram, you can find these custom wire webbings for Spider-Man, and those are really nice. I'm not a big fan of webbing poses per se, but since this guy only came with whip hands, I thought that I would show these off and recommend that you look for custom wire webbing for Marvel Legends 1/12 scale, and you could probably find something good that will enhance your collection, especially if you want him to be web swinging in your display. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but I do try to line him up with the seam between the 2 sides of my background there. There we go. I prefer that. But now he's not in the center, so let's try to get him right in the dead center. Really working on the quality of these videos, folks, and it's it's a bit of a challenge, but I figure 21 videos in, it's got to be slightly better than it was when we first started, and it was pretty terrible when we first started. One of the things about this PS4 Spider-Man that was at the time a little controversial, and I think to this day remains somewhat controversial, is his head. The head sculpt is a reuse of the head sculpt from the Spider UK figure, which I think came out in 2017, if I recall correctly. Maybe that was the Lizard Wave. I think it was the Lizard Wave. But the head is way oversized for this body. It's just a big melon sitting on top of the Sunfire body mold. And this was the Sunfire body mold was something that everybody wanted to see a traditional Spider-Man on. It started actually, I think the first use of this mold was actually not Sunfire. I think Sunfire was the second use, but they call it that to avoid confusion because the first use was Spider-Man 2099, the white and red suit. And because there were 2 Spider-Man 29s that came out relatively close together, the red and blue suit and the white and red suit, it just came to become known as the Sunfire body mold because Sunfire, I believe every Sunfire figure that they've made, and I think there have been 3 now by Hasbro, at least 2, maybe 3, including the Age of Apocalypse one. Um, every one of those has still been on the Sunfire body mold. I mean, how could you not? If you're going to do a Sunfire, release it on the Sunfire body mold. The only real problem with this mold, with this body, is the big head. But the big head is kind of distracts your attention from the fact that he has the tiny little Sunfire body mold shoulders, which are just this teeny tiny little ball shoulders. And they are really, really not impressive in a vanilla pose. And you can pose them away. If you pose him in the right way, you don't so much notice that his shoulders are way too tiny and sit way too low. But there he is. All right. Yeah, the shoulders are way too tiny, way too low. One figure that it really stands out on is the Target exclusive Ant-Man that came out, I think, 2023, the same day as the MCU Tracksuit Mafia guys. I was lucky enough to find a whole bunch of Ant-Mans and Tracksuit Mafias at a Target about an hour and a half from here, and walked out of that store a very happy man with 2 Ant-Mans and 6 Tracksuit Mafias. And I had no idea at the time. Ant-Man I don't think was ever hard to find, but Tracksuit Mafia was one of those rare Marvel Legends that just sort of comes and goes in a day. Rare in the sense that doesn't happen too often, but it's usually store exclusives when it does happen, and certainly the Tracksuit Mafia were store exclusives. And I got them not for my love for the Hawkeye TV show or for or just MCU figures in general. I got them actually to go with my G.I. Joe Classified figure collection. I thought that they would make good goons for Destro. And, despite buying 6, and I think I might have 9 of them now, because they were at Ollie's, and I bought a few more when Ollie's had them for $10, which is amazing, by the way, isn't it? That a figure that was originally retailing for, I think, were they $32.99? I think the Tracksuit Mafia when they first came out, and then they went up to like $40 or $50 because they were so hard to get. And then I walked into Ollie's one day and they had maybe 80 of them for $10 each, and I was disciplined. I only bought 6 more. But they're fun because they're kit bashable and you can swap the heads around, and they've got the balaclava if you want that, bank robber look or whatever. It's not a great figure. It's a little small, and the balaclava head is especially small and kind of cartoony looking. But maybe we'll do a video about army builders sometime. That might be fun. Because, the Tracksuit Mafia figures are good army builders. I also use the MCU Matt Murdock from Spider-Man No Way Home in the gray suit. That's a really good suited figure. I use those for army builders. I invented something called the Gray Agency because it's just a guy in a gray suit. So I put all kind of heads on those, and they're like a squad of hitmen in the seedy underworld of the Marvel universe. And also, I went way far afield here, didn't I? But in for a penny, in for a pound. The Egghead figure. Bought a whole bunch of those. He's not going to stand up. Come on. Well, why would you expect him to cooperate? This is my Victor Von Doom, pre-explosion. This is Bruce Banner, because I think he's nicer on the Egghead body than he is on the crappy, thin, suited body. You be the judge of which Bruce Banner you prefer there. But, this Egghead body is very good for a team of mad scientists. And, I've mentioned many times, I wish I could paint better than I can, because if I could repaint that necktie on these Egghead bodies, I'd really be cooking with gas. That would be really cool. But anyway, back to the PS4 Gamerverse Spider-Man here. The head is a little big. Just before I started the video, I tried the head from the 2022 Ben Reilly Spider-Man from the Retro Wave, and I tried the head from the 2020 Retro Spider-Man, because the eye lenses on both of those figures look much more like he looked in the game. They're more the traditional shape. I don't like the shape of the lenses on this guy. I don't like the size of the head. I love the body. I love the design. I love the color. Don't love the shoulders, but I can live with them. I've lived with them for a long time because I got a lot of Sunfire body mold figures, like this one right here, another Sunfire body mold, old Deadpool. And I wanted to have this Spider-Man PS4 figure back in my collection, mainly for the French blue, and just because it is a nice Spider-Man figure, and one of the few that's on the Sunfire body mold. The other one, Cyborg Spider-Man, was on that body mold, although that's covered by all the Cyborg parts, of course. And then I think at least one of the VHS or animated retro something Spider-Man's, at least one of those I think is also on the Sunfire body mold. I could be wrong about that. It's either Sunfire or the Amazing Fantasy 15 body. But I'm way in the weeds here, and really I just wanted to give you a look, if you don't have one or haven't seen one in a while, at the Gameverse PS4 Gamestop exclusive Advanced Suit Spider-Man from 2018. He's a pretty nice figure. If you can get him for a good price, I do highly recommend him. Looks really nice with the white. They did a very nice job of multiple coats of the white so that it gives you the same effect that it has in the game. They skipped the texture, unfortunately, or the texture of the suit. Although I don't mind that much because then it kind of makes it MCU-ish figure looking. So I don't too much mind the fact that it doesn't have the textures, and the red and the blue both look really good, so I can live with it. I just wish there was something we could do about that big noggin. If you've replaced this head with a different Marvel Legends head, or if you have an idea of what to do with him, leave a comment below, because I am actively seeking to improve the look of this figure without the reds have to match because I don't want to have my OCD just drive me insane. But yeah, that's it. If you have the PS5 one, tell me, am I missing out? Is that a good figure? I don't know too much about it. I haven't watched any reviews of it even because, as I say, I've never seen it. And this one, I think, fits me just fine to have this design of this suit. I also have the Marvel Select version of this, which is really nice, but the articulation is sorely lacking, unparalleled.